What's up, everybody? It's Friday, and it's time for Tower Talk. January 15th, 2021. So, the first TWAB since the holiday break is here, the first TWAB of 2021, and I've got to admit, I've got some pretty mixed feelings about the information that was in there, and we'll get to that as we come to the information. So without further ado, let's dive into it. First section to talk about is the rewards update, Dreaming City and the Moon. Starting in Season 13, we're going to have reissues of the Dreaming City, Reverie Dawn, and Moon Dreambane armor. This armor will also drop with high stats when earned in Shattered Throne or Pit of Heresy. The final chest is going to change in Pit of Heresy. It will no longer drop a fully Masterwork Dreambane armor piece, but will instead drop with 7 armor energy and will be guaranteed to drop with at least 16 power in 2 different stats and higher stats overall. So at least 2 of your stats are going to be 16 and the other stats should be higher overall. Also, the Dreambane class item will no longer drop from this chest, so I guess you're going to have to do the targeted quest or get one of the other, like, world drops for it. It will no longer come from that chest, so don't look for it there. I think the idea is for them to do a targeted armor farm that means something. I do actually like this idea of removing something that doesn't contribute to the stat grind from that pool so that it's not in the way. That's a good way to do it when it has multiple sources, right? There will be 4 weapons reissued from the Dreaming City, and they will have new perk pools. That's going to be Waking Vigil, Sleepless, Vouchsafe, and Retold Tale. Dreaming City weapons that drop in the Shattered Throne dungeon can roll with perks that are unavailable from drops from other reward sources. Reissued weapons from the Moon are also getting the same treatment. So we're going to have Premonition from the Pit of Heresy only, Heretic, Blasphemer, and Apostate reissued. And like the Dreaming City weapons, weapons that drop in the Pit of Heresy dungeon can roll with perks that are unavailable from drops from other reward sources. Also, we're going to be expanding the Lost Sector Legend and Master rotation to the 4 Moon Lost Sectors. That's K1 Logistics, K1 Communication, K1 Crew Quarters, and K1 Revelation. Those are all going to be part of the solo Lost Sectors. Bungie's take is that they're making these changes to help preserve the relevancy of the destinations, specifically some of the pinnacle endgame activities that still exist there, which I agree with. That part of it is a great idea and makes those dungeons not a waste of time. They also said that activities where reissues are acquired will be heavily weighted towards rewarding reissued gear over capped gear, though the exact weighting mechanisms may differ. For example, in the Dreaming City, if you have already obtained an infusion capped weapon, it will not drop for you again. Okay, so there you go. That part of it will actually help you out. They also went on to say that while not every gear source or legendary reward will be kept up to date for the entire lifetime these destinations are available, we do believe there's high value in targeting some specific activity drops for continued relevancy to give you more options for where to spend your time as you seek to improve your arsenal. And this I agree with, because one of the things that I've been super uncomfortable with is that, you know, after, say, the season where a dungeon is premiered, like Pit of Heresy or Shattered Throne, you no longer got a pinnacle drop from it. It was on to the next dungeon that was new before, you know, that's where your pinnacle drop would go. And it was like, well, I don't have a reason other than I like to play it to go back to those dungeons. And it's a super duper waste because they're still in the game and they're still good. But there's not a reason to say I need to carve out this time for Shattered Throne or Pit, which, yeah, it was just a waste. It was a super duper waste. So utilizing them in this way and changing the way their loot is going to work in this way is an excellent idea. What I don't like is I'm not thrilled about this reissued gear treadmill that we're on. Like, I actually like that some of these favorite weapons are coming back and they'll be viable again. That'll be nice. And having them as the incentive to run the Shattered Throne and the Pit for a reason is nice. But making us regrind old gear is artificial, and it just feels plain bad right now. Here's how I think it should work. I'll give you an example. I have my old Retold Tale God roll. Okay. If I find a new Retold Tale with an updated power cap, I should be able to use it to upgrade my old one to the new cap using, say, an Ascendant Shard. Or even Bright Dust. This respects the time it took for me to gain the original, but it also makes me think about which weapons I really want to upgrade in this way. Since the Ascendant Shards or the Bright Dust are a scarce resource, right? It puts value and decision making, so you can't just automatically say, I'm going to bring this forward, right? Like, that was the problem with the unlimited infusion, right? Supposedly. So, yeah, you'd be allowed to do it, but you're going to have to pay a steep price if it means that much to you to keep it relevant. And it would require, let me be clear, it would require exactly the same weapon. So you would have to have the updated exact same weapon to be able to change the cap on the old one. But yeah, and that leads into my next point. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this now, that we need more flexible sunsetting. My idea is curated sunsetting, and what I mean by that is, like, why do we need to just automatically retire everything in broad strokes? Like, this season is X amount of time old, we're just going to wipe the whole thing out. I don't think that that's necessary at all. I say do curated sunsetting, which is retire the most used or, balance issue specific weapons at a certain interval. So every 3 months, we look at the sandbox and we say, okay, these things are going out. Or even just every year, we look at the sandbox and we say, okay, these things are going out. It's time to use something else. Armor doesn't need to be sunset, but again, because you might say, oh, well, what about Warmind cells? What about this charged with light stuff? Like, I don't think it's healthy to be able to use those things forever and ever, especially, we've seen how powerful some charged with light and Warmind cell stuff is in the Deepstone Crypt, for sure. That's when I say do the same thing. Look at what it is and say, okay, so we don't want you to use Warmind cells anymore. It's too OP. You've had it for... So all of this armor that's compatible with it is now sunset. We're putting a power cap on it. Just power cap anything compatible with something that needs phasing out, and don't have that mod compatibility on subsequent armor sets. It's simple. Curated sunsetting. Not that hard. And I feel like it would create so much more breathing room for other things from the same seasons, right? That didn't get attention because everybody was busy playing with something else. So that something else that everybody was using is capped, it's retired. Now you can try other things. And it serves to not, decimate the loot pool. It serves to not force Bungie to have to create huge amounts of stuff, which I think we're already seeing they can't do. They can't keep up with it. So they're like, okay, well, emergency fix mode, we're reissuing all these weapons. And that's just making everybody upset because nobody wants to sit and regrind old gear just to get something that's the same or maybe slightly worse that has a power cap we can make use of. That feels bad. We don't want to do it. I'm not mad. It's not going to drive me away from the game. I love the world. I love the gunplay. But that right now has me not very excited about acquiring stuff. There's just this big negative shadow over everything because when you get it, it has an expiration date, a fixed one. It kills a lot of motivation because you're just going to throw it away anyway, right? We've talked about that before. And yeah. And also, you know that it's probably going to show up again in 6 months as a reissue, and it's just really boring and arbitrary and doesn't feel good. I keep saying doesn't feel good. That's like the best phrase I can use to describe it. It just doesn't feel good. So I would love for that to change and to improve the system that goes with a place that I like to spend my time, you know? So turning back to the TWAB, the next section was turn in those tokens. Basically what's happening is that the token system for the vendors is going to be going away. They're going to update the ways in which we earn reputation with ritual vendors and the rewards that come from them. Now this kind of is what a lot of us have been asking for and sort of proposed as a new system for the vendors. I think it's just going to be the ritual activities though. So that's like Zavala, Shax, and the Drifter, right? So let's see. Let's scroll down here. We already know about the unique weapon rewards, but then here, okay, starting in Season 13 for Gambit and Crucible, and in a future season for Strikes, rank rewards will be visible on the ritual vendors. Each season, you'll be greeted by a row of rewards, progression toward which will be earned automatically as you complete relevant playlist activities. So you level up your vendor, and as you do, you get access to more and more of the things that are in that vendor's reward track, if you will. And this is actually something we're already kind of familiar with because this is what we do with the seasonal vendors, right? We've done it with the obelisks. We did it with the recaster. We've done it with our cryptolith lure from Crow. Same idea applied to the vendors, which I really like because it gives you more of a reason to do it. There's a specific thing that's going on, a specific path to what you want, right? It makes them more important, more useful. Instead of having rank rewards dropped automatically into your loot stream, which frankly annoys me because I have to keep going to the tower to get rid of stuff, they will now be picked up manually from the vendor lists. We feel this gives much better visibility into what you'll be earning as you progress and helps you make better choices about where to spend your time. 100% agreed. I can't wait for this change. Progression is on a per ritual basis. So you can be on rank 10 for Crucible, rank 4 for Gambit, for example. You'll reset your rank right at the vendor by picking up the final reward. So that's also really great. Rewards for each individual ritual are as follows. Rank 4 times 3 upgrade modules. Rank 7 times 3 enhancement cores. Rank 10, seasonal ritual shader. Like that a lot. Changes to times 3 enhancement cores after resetting your rank. So there's definitely going to be a real reason to push and reset a lot. Rank 13, 2 times enhancement prisms. Rank 16, ritual emblem. Like that. Much clearer path to those things, by the way. Changes to times 2 enhancement prisms after resetting your rank. Reset reward, Ascendant Shard. Changes to exotic engram after resetting your rank. Every rank up awards a base ritual engram just like before. Additionally, each of the above ranks also awards a prime ritual engram. I really, really like this system. I think that they really, really have a good idea here. And I would like to see this continue. I'd like to see it across vendors, actually. It would be so fun to have that on destination vendors and like have a reason to go there and really spend time and grind in a place. So I love seeing this for the rituals first because the ritual activities are the really important, tent poles of Destiny. So this is cool. This is the kind of increased relevance that I really, really want to see. Let's see. Due to this automated progression, Crucible tokens and Crucible token gifts are no longer needed and will be deprecated into junk that will delete as a full stack starting in Season 13. So, cash those tokens in before the end of the season and get ready to earn some masterwork materials. Yeah! So, I got a huge pile of tokens. I don't know about y'all, but I've got a lot of tokens I think, for each of those ritual vendors, and I'll have to cash them in because, hey, look, man, I can at least get some legendary shards out of it. And I'd hate to waste that. Just throw away the pile of tokens when I could earn materials. So that's going to be something for all of you to add to your to-do list. Let's see. What is next? Revenant, Shatterdive, and Whisper of Fissures. So this is the Hunter Stasis class. Let's see. So we've looked at Warlocks. Next, they're going to be looking at Hunters. Short-term goal. Addressed outlier stasis abilities to keep subclass decision-making interesting. Reduce the potency of Shatterdive plus Whisper of Fissures against Guardians. This will be going live with update 3.0.2. Shatterdive will now have damage fall off versus unfrozen targets. Max range damage reduced from 50 to 5. That is a turbo nerf, but it's needed. Damage reduction during ability reduced from 50% to 25%. Also necessary because the whole thing is you could go in there and do a risky Shatterdive without much in the way of penalty. This is absolutely appropriate. Whisper of Fissures. Reduced maximum minimum damage versus non-super players from 42.22 to 34. So that's pretty big. Reduced maximum minimum damage versus super players from 42.22 to 16.2. Reduced detonation radius versus players from 10 meters to 9 meters. That's also a pretty huge turbo nerf because you could see how it was balanced before. It was like it was 42 and then the minimum was 22, so roughly half of the maximum. And now the minimum damage is a significant small number. If you don't do that right and your range isn't right, you're not going to get much out of it anymore. And it's totally appropriate. Because I know just through observation of people using this stuff, I've been like, forget it, man. I'm not dealing with that. They also have a note about investigating the efficacy of the Stasis Titan Behemoth Super. They want to let the changes to the Hunter settle and see what happens with Behemoth in the PvP hierarchy. But Behemoth users, you're on the radar. So be warned, you could be next. Midterm goal. Improve PvP subclass usage and win rate balance. Addressing stasis ability outliers will help us lower the ceiling, but we also want to pull up other underperforming light subclasses. So, overall good thing. In other words, they're not real happy about all stasis all the time because it's so much, like, significantly a better choice. And I fully agree with that. Midterm goal, review our ability to gunplay balance in PvP. This is definitely a huge problem. They go on to say, Destiny is a game about both explosive space magic moments and intrinsically satisfying gunplay. Especially in our 3v3 playlist, the usage of abilities has climbed as we introduce more and more ways to charge them quickly. And I think that's it. They've hit it on the nose there. The operative problem is that you have your abilities so often, it's overshadowing the gunplay. And so then they say, we're still in very early discussions, but we're looking into restoring a better balance where proper gunplay is rewarding in these playlists. And that's what it is for me. Is right now, it feels like if you just want to go in there and be good with your guns, you can't stand up to the ability spam. And I do have a topic for that coming up later, so I'm not going to say any more right at this moment. But let's see what we've got here. Got to scroll down. Okay, so this is the report about the upcoming update 3.0.2. And let's see. The update is going to land on January 19th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for all platforms and regions. And And these are the upcoming resolved issues and fixes, some things that we can expect. Hive bosses Inanon, Brood Queen, and Zilox were not counting as Hive boss kills and bounties, so that's being fixed. Players couldn't respawn if they died during the boss fight of the Inverted Spire. I have experienced that. Glad to see that fixed. Getting out of the environment in several of the Crucible maps is being fixed. Some quest items were not dropping in the Moon Free Roam activity. This prevented the completion of several Essence quests, so that's being fixed. Unrelenting perk was not triggering health regeneration. That will be fixed. I'm looking forward to experiencing that properly because I have some good Crucible geared weapons that I don't really know what they're like or how useful they are because we found out that that perk wasn't working. They have also fixed the Mida Multi-Tool Catalyst not dropping from competitive Crucible wins. And you'll be happy to know that the crazy Taken Scion replication in the Prophecy Dungeon was not intended and is one of the fix in 3.0.2. I'm glad because we had a hell of a time with that the last time through Prophecy. I mean, we could not kill them fast enough. It was out of control. It's totally out of control. Garden of Salvation flawless completions were not awarding the Inherent Perfection Triumph, being fixed. High Celebrant sometimes wouldn't take damage nor go to the Ascendant Plane, being fixed. This one makes me sad. I knew that this next one would be coming, but I'm sad to see it go. Fixed an exploit where players could have Shelter from the Storm permanently applied in the Deepstone Crypt raid. I'm sorry, kids, but you are going to have to learn how to do the Sparrow section properly or forever give up access to that first chest. And I have to admit to you all, I can do it, but it took me forever because I've never really had to learn the proper route. And I think I've got the hang of it now. Some repetition and I'll get it. You know, some repetition and I'll be fine. But it's still fairly easy, but you're no longer going to be able to press the easy button and not freeze to death on your Sparrow. You're going to have to learn where the bubbles are. That's all there is to it. You're just going to have to learn. Rest in peace, Shelter from the Storm glitch. What else? Fixed an issue where Cloud Strike hits on the Divinity Cage counted as 2 precision hits. Rip to that one. That was great in the Deepstone Crypt. Fixed an issue where the Grandmaster Nightfall timer was set to 30 minutes. Awesome. Cool. And then let's see what else we have going on here. I'm scrolling through the known issues right now. And this, I know, you just have to be careful. Portals aren't opening when the High Celebrant leaves because the black orbs take no damage. Players can mitigate this issue by not using sidearms, so that's a specific thing, and not shooting the orb as it immediately spawns. Also true. And here's what I noticed. Here's a better, like, measuring stick for that if you're having a hard time with it. The orb will appear. Wait for the... You know on the top right how you get an updated mission objective when you're in a mission? Wait for that objective update to pop before you touch anything. That's basically the time interval that they're referring to. And also, like, if you're doing something and then some dialogue is playing, let the dialogue finish. So let the dialogue finish. Let your mission objectives update. Because if you don't, that seems to be when it gets stuck. Let's see. Overload shot on auto rifles doesn't proc if you hold down the trigger right after reloading, even though it does the overload animation. Can confirm. I didn't realize at first that's what was going on, but that's what it was. There's a bunch of raid issues I won't go into for Last Wish, but you guys can check those out for yourself. They're not that big of a deal. There is a problem with one of the Ascendant challenges not counting. So right now the Curse Breaker seal is blocked if you didn't already have those. There's a bunch of issues overall with Ascendant challenges. No Ahamkara bones, whole bunch of things. Let's see. And that's really all that's important for that. I'm scrolling through the rest of the TWAB here to make sure I'm not missing anything. There's a lot of really good stuff in the Artist and Movie of the Week section that you guys should check out. Okay, so that's really all for the TWAB. It wasn't that long. So, on to some of the topics that I've been collecting while playing and enjoying my holiday break. First one is hard mode for raids. I have talked about, yes, raids need hard mode, and I've sort of, in broad strokes, said what hard mode needs to be. Protheon gave his description of what hard mode raids in Destiny 2 look like. And I really, really liked it. This is what I was thinking of in my head and didn't have enough experience to articulate. So Protheon says, hard mode raids in Destiny 2 should be contest mode. They should give you an exclusive shader and emblem. The armor drops would not be below 62. And the final encounter would drop an adept version of a weapon in that raid, like an adept trustee, for example, plus a higher drop rate for the raid exotic. 100% agree with this. This is exactly what I was saying, in my head, right? Not just that you toggle on a contest mode, which would mean you don't have to recreate the raid, right? It's just modifier type adjustments. And then specific things that give a prestige and a chase. I'm going to do hard mode because I want to show off that shader and emblem. I want the high stat armor that's easier to get. I want this adept trustee, this adept heritage that has something extra. It would not only be harder, but reward the completion of it being harder beyond just I did the hard thing. Right? So 100% I agree. That's what hard mode should look like. We have the Iron Banner Freelance playlist now. I am a big fan of the Freelance playlist hopper. If you're alone, get grouped with other people that are alone. It makes for a much better experience for everyone. I would like to see more of this in PvP, especially if we're not going to have skill-based matchmaking at all. Which I still don't really understand, because Halo had a type of skill-based matchmaking that was really figured out, and I don't understand why we can't have something like that in Destiny 2 that functions as well as it did in Halo. I just don't get it. Moving on from that, the Dawning 2020. I really, really loved the idea of the Dawning ship that we had this year. The idea of the customizability and the fact that once you upgraded all the way, it generated the Dawning Spirit, right? The event currency when you had it equipped. That was an excellent, excellent idea. And I would love to see this type of thing on other exotic ships going forward. It was a great first step towards something that I think is really, really cool. I don't think every exotic ship needs to have this, but definitely anything that's tied to an event, I think needs to do this. And the customizability wasn't anything outrageous this time. It was definitely just dipping a toe in the water. But what it represents in terms of how it's a stepping stone to where we could go with that, I want more of that. It was excellent. And it was more than just, I'm going to put on this Dawning themed ship because it's the Dawning. There was a reason to have that ship on that was useful, and I really, really was a big fan of that. As for the rest of the Dawning, I love baking cookies for Bright Dust and getting the event-specific weapons and everything, but what was the point of the community goal, really? I don't know, and I don't think Bungie knows either. It should have been heir apparent. So, are they saving that for the next Guardian games? I really enjoyed that event, except for the horrible toxicity and division it brought to the community. And because of that, I would prefer that it didn't return, at least not as a class versus class event. What are they saving heir apparent for then? Regardless, the Dawning needs a rework, and I still say, bring back SRL. And that's how you earn what you need for the event, or you get big bonuses from it and certain specific gear. If they did that, the Dawning would be a banger. Like, you could have the SRL and you could also still have the ship. But you gotta race to make it, baby. You gotta race to make it. And I still think that could be dope. I know they don't want to put resources into it. But I still say that's the direction to go with the Dawning. You heard it here. Another cool idea is, what if your armor stats could hard counter stasis? Cool Guy Games on Twitter said, what if stats could hard counter? Resilience equals damage reduced from shatter stasis. Mobility equals reduced slow. Recovery equals reduced freeze time. The higher the stat, the more it is a direct counter. Get desk field but have high mobility equals you can run out. High resilience, not killed by shatter, etc. Yes. Yes to all of this. Because this is the same kind of thing that's, like, easy. I think it easily fits into the sandbox. And it rewards builds, which I think we've talked about a lot. That's the type of game we're supposed to be moving toward. And we want to reward the acquisition of certain stats, the building of certain stats and mods. And because Stasis is so powerful, I would love to see that hard countering, especially in PvP. I don't think it's needed in PvE, but in PvP that would be so cool. Would be so cool. And now we're arriving at the topic I mentioned before, which is Stasis in PvP and separate sandbox balancing. I don't know, sometimes I feel like there's a lot of dramatic statements made here, and I mean, look, I'm a Destiny PvP main, but I like to chill and play PvP, you know, during different downtimes or just for fun and to try to get better and improve, and certainly to chase things that you have to get in PvP, because I'm not above doing that. The way things are with Stasis has really, like, removed me pretty much entirely from Destiny's PvP. It's a part of the game I don't even really think about anymore. I used to play Iron Banner for the Pinnacles, but I haven't touched Iron Banner the last 2 rotations because I just can't get into PvP with it the way it is now. It's a real cluster of people having these crowd control abilities all the time with these insanely powerful perks, and it's getting spammed and slowing the engagements down. It's preventing any movement skill. There's not really any counters. The gunplay is totally being eclipsed, and, like, nobody asked for that. But exactly the way it is, I love it in PvE. Like, the PvP changes that need to happen should not affect PvE. Like, balance the game separately, please. Now that Stasis is here, we're going to have to get on that train. It's super obvious. Okay? And that's all I have to say about that. Another PvP note. Trials accessibility. Ascendant Nomad says, Trials wouldn't have a population problem if it was accessible plus rewarding. Should it be accessible, though? Yes. Yes, it should be. More people playing equals more valuable activity equals more resources to do it. Activities get better when people play them. Yeah, I mean, I can't agree with that anymore. Like, reward completions every week, rewards for game completions, just finishing X number of games, it could be 10 games, dude, would be enough to get me to play Trials. This is fine because the elite and the tryhards can go for something like Adept. Let's reward them with exclusive shaders and an emblem as well. It being non-match made needs to go. And there needs to be some kind of skill-based matchmaking as well as card standing. And you know what? A freelance queue would be awesome too. And give the flawless teams their own queue to prevent farming and keep them challenged. I'm telling you, that right there would be it. Accessible does not equal easy. It just means that everyone can approach it each week and actually have a chance. This is healthy for the game. Cheating and paid carries are so prevalent because it is so inaccessible. The less people feel like they need to turn to those things because the barrier is so high, the better it will be for everyone. Another thing I would like to see is Firewall Strikes. So what I mean by that is, you know how when we have the Infinite Forest and stuff, you can do a firewall version where it turns matchmaking off? I would really like to see a firewall option for strikes when you select them from the map. And the reason I say this is because, you know, sometimes you're just playing by yourself and maybe you're trying to finish a bounty, and invariably you get matched with Joe Speedrunner or Joe Titan that's annihilating everything and you're getting nothing from what you're trying to work toward. And I just think that it would be cool for us to be able to say, can I please have a firewall on this so that me or like me and my one other buddy can be in here and not have that problem. I know probably it would be a concern in terms of available population for the people that are running it without firewall, but like, I'm not so sure about that. Most of the time, I actually don't mind getting matched with other random people, but it's just sometimes I'm trying to do something, like I'm just trying to finish it, and I would love to turn the matchmaking off and have it just be me. I'm just saying. I also want story missions back. They are such a fun way to do, you know, various bounties, and they're nice to have available when you're just alone. I propose a heroic daily mission option in the Vanguard section. Every day a different story mission from what we have available currently is playable with various modifiers. And it should be sunset friendly. We desperately need this space to enjoy our old toys. Like almost none of the game is playable with sunset things. I really don't like being cut off from re-experiencing the old story missions. I have to be 100% honest. I don't like it. I think they're fun. I think they have value. I think if you did it this way, people would play it. And how hard... Now, this is something I try to be careful of because I don't know how this game is built, really. And maybe it is kind of hard. But those story missions are already in the game, right? Like, they're already on the hard drive. So why not just build a thing that randomly picks one for the day, randomly picks modifiers, and off we go? Like, I really think that has value, and it should be a thing that comes back. Prophecy Dungeon Hexahedron change. I want to talk about this because I don't know if you guys noticed it, and it really bugged me, and it is different if you're having trouble with the Hexahedron. So, the cube in the middle is an indicator, along with Toland, of what you need to do and what you have done. Right? So, when Toland is on the ceiling, you may or may not have known this, there actually was a way to tell which pedestal to cleanse when Toland would appear on the ceiling. You would look at the cube in the middle of the hexahedron, and you would have to pick a side of the cube that didn't have that 9 symbol on it. If there was a 9 symbol, that was a pedestal you had already cleansed. You had to find a side that was blank, right? Now, that symbol is no longer there, and the correct pedestal is indicated by kind of like a column of light coming out of the side of the middle cube. It looks like the same column of light that comes out of the center when you're going to transition to a new side of the room. It took us a really long time to notice that. We could not figure out why it was taking us such a long time to reach the end compared to before. And then we noticed that the symbols were not on the cube in the middle anymore. And then finally I noticed the light, which is actually not easy to see unless you already know what you're looking for. And you can see here, I'll show you pictures. Here is what the cube used to look like. And you can see there's the symbols, and you can see that there's a blank side there. That would be the one you want to take when Toland's up on the ceiling like that. And then here's the picture of the way it is now. No symbols at all, and you can see the little column of light there indicating where you're supposed to go. And I mean, it's no big deal. Like, it's effective either way, but I think it kind of sucks that the symbols are gone. Because, I mean, that's part of it. Like, we're there to talk to the 9, and aesthetically, it was just really cool that as you completed a side, it would put the symbol there, right? Until you have symbols on all sides. And I don't get why they took the symbols away. It just seems like we should put it back the way it was. I mean, did they do that because it was hard for people to understand that that was what was happening? I don't think that the column of light is really any easier or more clear You know? I don't know. I'm just curious. It was a little thing that bugged me because I saw it. EDZ secret areas. You may have noticed lately that there is a secret area that you can go to. You can get back into the mission area where we first did Hawkmoon. And you can go through the reservoir and access this room now that has a secret ship in it. It doesn't do anything yet, but it looks like this ship that Crow had was altered by the Traveler for him. It's sitting there in the room, and you can check it out. And there's a hallway you can go down that transitions to the Hallowed Rift area. I think it might just be because it's right on the other side of the Hawkmoon area, the jumping puzzle area for Hawkmoon. But I don't know. Maybe that'll open up later. I have no idea. And then there's another area where the same building where you re-enter the Hawkmoon reservoir zone. On a different floor, there's a fireplace, and if you shoot the brick back of that fireplace with Hawkmoon, it opens up into this secret tunnel. I'm calling it the secret fireplace tunnel. And you follow it down, and at the end of the hall, there's a desk down there with a laptop on it that doesn't do anything yet, but it sure looks like it's for something. And there's also another branch that you can go through that leads to a door that you can't open right now. It also looks like there's like one light that's on the panel next to this door, right? And it seems like there are other lights that need to be lit to open it. And I noticed that there's like these electrical boxes through all this tunnel area that we're talking about. And I'm thinking like we got to do something to light all the lights on that door panel. And it has something to do with those electrical boxes along the way. Like you got to find them all, right? Do something to them. But, like, where does the door go? I don't know. And the area transition is reservoir, so it goes back into the reservoir somewhere. I don't know. Like, is it a shortcut to then let us go to another area? I'm not sure. Because right now, like, if that's true, to get back into the Hawkmoon part of the reservoir, you have to go a pretty long way, right? Using that door that's on the very top floor of the building. You have to go pretty far to get back to the area. I wonder if this other area is a shortcut to get us back to where the ship is and perhaps enter something else. But, like, then I keep thinking, wouldn't it be cool if this was the entrance to a Whisper or Zero Hour type mission to reroll Hawkmoon? And, like, wouldn't that be appropriate? Hawkmoon is an exotic. Like, shouldn't it be rolled from something that is somewhat challenging to do? And I think definitely these areas have something to do with the last two triumphs for the Warden Seal. It could just be some kind of story mission or something. I don't know. Like, I don't want to build false hopes, but I was just thinking, dude, wouldn't that be cool if that's what this is leading up to? I don't know. But if you want to take a look at it, I've got videos on my YouTube channel here showing those two secret areas if you want to check them out. And it shows, you know, how I got there, what I did, and what's in there. You can check it out. Weapons I'm enjoying right now. I finally got enough spoils to buy Anarchy, and oh my god, is Anarchy awesome. Like, I have definitely been missing out. I mean, my friends and I used to have a great time in the Prophecy Dungeon, but now that we have Anarchy, oh my goodness, we pretty much have a guaranteed two-phaser most of the time. And I'm the only one in our group that has it yet. And that's how good of a job we're doing. Can you imagine if there was more of us? I just really like that weapon. It has so many different ways that you can apply what it does. I really love it. And I regret that I haven't had it this whole time, that I never got it from Scourge of the Past, but I'm having so much fun with it now that I have it. It's one of the few things that has made me put down a sword for a little while. Fully honest, I love it. And I also finally completed Garden of Salvation and got Divinity, and I also got the hand cannon Ancient Gospel, a fairly good roll of it too. And let me tell you, that Ancient Gospel is definitely one of my all-time favorite hand cannons. Well, what was my list that I tweeted? Midnight Coup, Posterity, Spare Rations, Nation of Beasts, and now I'm adding Ancient Gospel to that list. That thing is just, there's something about the way it sounds and how crisp it feels, and that I really liked the design of the garden weapons. I like anything that has like cool glowing lighting stuff on it, but I really liked those. It's another thing I really like about the shotgun as well. So super happy to get Ancient Gospel on that run, because I don't know if garden is one that I'm gonna run a lot. So I got very lucky to get a decent one on this run that I made to get Divinity, and this is gonna sound super weird, but I actually like being the Divinity player. Don't ask me why. I don't know. There's something about having that role. I've always liked being that guy that does that thing. Like, nobody else ever wants to do Divinity, so I'm just like, I'll do it. It's cool. Like, maybe it's just because it's my new toy right now. I don't know. But I'll be your Divinity person. It's fine with me. And then lastly, the Commemoration Machine Gun. Holy crap, is that a good machine gun. I really like that thing, and it is my go-to when I have to be a suppressor, let me tell you. Like, that third encounter of Deepstone Crypt, my heavy weapon is Commemoration. Because if I gotta pick up suppressor, it makes it easy, and it's pretty good for, you know, other enemies in there when you need it. It's perfect. It's perfect. And then, you know, my exotic in there is Witherhorde, so it's a nice pairing. And then, really, really cool news. I finally got a raid jacket. This happened over the holiday break. I got invited to raid with one of my friends, with his clan group, and I finished the raid, and lo and behold, I got the email that I had earned the jacket. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I freaked out, because one of the things I've always wanted was to be able to complete a raid early enough to get one of those customized jackets. And I mean, for me, the only thing above getting the jacket would be to get a day one emblem or earn worlds first, right? Like, that's sort of the big three. It's worlds first, then the day one emblem, then the jacket, right? And I want to thank my buddy Savage Lou. I want to thank Undead and everybody else in the Bullethead clan that has helped me. Those were also the folks that helped me get through Garden of Salvation. I have gone from my raid career being just 3 clears of Leviathan to having a total of 23 full raid clears to date across 3 raids. A lot of them are in the Deepstone Crypt, which I've really enjoyed. I cannot overstate how grateful I am to all of the people that have helped me reach these new heights in this Beyond Light era. Thank you. And I cannot wait for the Vault of Glass to return, because I think me and all of these wonderful people that I've met here lately doing the Deepstone Crypt are going to have a really, really, really good time with the Vault when it returns. Alright, everybody. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Tower Talk. Stay safe, be excellent to each other, and I will see you Starside.